Welcome, everybody, to the Zion Experience. I'm Jim Shaw. I forget Jordan. Jordan Frank, the other co-host, is on.
I'm here.
You know, we really don't prepare for this.
You know, we're better off to come. That's about all you're going to get. That's what I got.
I have ham and cheese loaf in the refrigerator for days like today.
With that, let's get back into it.
Let's get in the groove. Well, hello and welcome to another edition of the Zion Experience, or as we call it, TZE. We've got a special guest today that I'm excited to talk to. He's one of the best in the industry. I've known Joe, who's on with us from OPEX for quite a while, over the last decade now. We haven't got to work together probably as much as we would like to work together, but one thing I can tell you about Joe is he's always been consistent, just an easy person to talk to, and so we convinced him to come on to the TZE and to share with us a little bit about his background in the industry and just OPEX in general. And it's certainly a name that anybody that's been in this industry a while knows and can understand. But I've got a new co-host today. So Christian Seymour is on with us. Jordan is on spring break with his kids, enjoying some time off, and we asked Christian to step in. So Christian has already told us he's got some allergies. He's got some stuff going on. He might go on and off the camera. He might go on and off audio. But if you hear a big sneeze and something like that going on, it's Christian. And
it's a tough time of the year in Kentucky.
Yeah, Kentucky's rough, man. Kentucky gets some. If you got some allergies, Kentucky's going to bring them out of you. So we're glad to have you on, Joe. Let me do a little background. So today's issue is going to be about how Zion and OPEX are working together, and just focused on how do we use the OPEX as a solution for certain projects. We've already got one project that we've done together. It's in the middle of go live and stabilizing and commissioning. It's already past commissioning, I should say, but it's in the process of stabilizing for a customer that we've got that's got an omni-channel network. We're not at liberty to talk about the customer really yet, but it was a really cool solution that we did together. So we're going to hit on it a little bit. But let me introduce Joe. So I've already said a little bit about him, but I got Joe McGinnis from OPEX. Joe's been in the warehouse automation world most of his professional life. I think you've done a little bit of everything from field service to engineering to estimating to a little project management, and now you're more in the business development sales lane for OPEX, more of a sales engineer for OPEX.
Correct.
And then in the integrator partner world, Joe and OPEX, they work directly with partners like Zion. So we implement solutions for end users and customers. And one thing I can tell you about Joe is when you talk to him, he's super well-rounded. He's very easy to talk to. You are gonna find that out. And I think because you've had all those life experiences, it's probably easier to do your job of the business development and sales engineering. And Joe, that you've been there on the ground, you've seen these projects come to life, you've got empathy, and you've walked in many different shoes across your career. So, Joe, welcome.
Exactly.
Thanks for spending some time with us. And what did I leave out? What did I not tell the audience about Joe?
Well, I did try to get away from this warehouse automation field years ago for about 4 years, and it sucked me right back in. So my entire career has been in the warehouse one way or another, except for one cup of coffee where I took off to do something else, and it's like, yeah, it just sucked me back. So you guys know it. Every time you walk into a new warehouse, you look around and you're like, everything's so new and different every time. So it can be very fresh. So that can make your day awesome. And yeah, you're right, Jimmy. And I appreciate you guys being in here too, Christian. As you go through what you build up on your experience of life, you pick up these little nuggets here and there, and we're kind of a summation of all those parts. And that's what makes this pretty easy. So I can hear somebody, try to listen, hear what somebody's going. I'm like, yeah, I've heard that before. And you can kind of empathize and put yourself in their shoes quickly.
Yeah, absolutely. I think you hit it. There's never a dull moment in our industry. And the challenge is, even if you solve one challenge, a new one pops up. And that's what keeps me. I've got 27. I think this is year 27 Joe, in the industry. It's all I've ever done. And
Yep.
I'm like you. It's like I don't know that I've ever tried to get out of it, but I probably had many thoughts of getting out of it at some point, because it's like, why do you do what you do? But I've said it. I said it I think I said it in a LinkedIn post at ProMat. Is like, one of the things I love about the industry is the people in it. And there's so many good people, and there's always a new problem that you're trying to solve. And that's really when I've been most fulfilled in this industry, is when I've come together with good people, working with good partners, and we help a customer, and you just really solve a problem that, makes the warehouse workers' life easier, that gets a product to a end user quicker and more efficiently. And it's like, that's what keeps me going. That's where my passion is to solve new problems and work with good people, and have good partners. We've said it.
And you're changing somebody's life when you do that. It's not
Absolutely.
like, it's not always selling something. It is that, but we at OPEX, if we don't fit, we don't fit. That's okay. We try to find out where we fit, and where we fit is awesome. And if you're handling something big like surfboards, well, we can't handle that. We don't fit. So it's okay. It's okay to know where you don't fit. But when you go implement a solution, you want them to learn about it, and then they start living it, and then they love it, and then they're never going to leave it. So it's just a blast to be able to share that technology, that solution, and change the lives of a company.
Absolutely. Well, let's dive into OPEX a little bit. I know there's certain product features and solutions that we really want to focus on today, as much or as little as you want, but give us just a little background of OPEX. I think they've got a really unique story, how they started, where they've evolved to, and just maybe give the listeners who may know the brand but may not know the backstory or the background or the history, just a little brief overview of it.
No, it's cool. And in fact, this year we're celebrating our 50th year, and third generation strong ownership, private ownership. And Al Stevens started 50 years ago with Columbia Records, cutting open envelopes from mail order way before e-com. So he had a sea of people that, with a letter opener, opening up these letters and fulfilling orders in a mail order type of background. And he discovered OPEX as a way to open up the letter for him, the envelope. And then the digital mailroom automation side of the business was then, and warehouse automation came along about 15 years ago. So from the DMA side and the WA side, we are OPEX strong now, 50 years going. And I joined the company 8 years ago. Seemed like about 8 months ago, but it's been a blast. And so I've been on the warehouse side, obviously, since then. So on the warehouse side, it all started with the iBot. When the iBot was born on the mailroom side and Mail Matrix, that created the entire warehouse automation division of OPEX, because we took that iBot as the backbone, and we made out of it Perfect Pick, Sure Sort, the larger Sure Sort called Sure Sort X or XL, and the Infinity. So all of those are based on the backbone being the iBot.
It's pretty awesome. I was trying to think today ahead of this little podcast that we're taping, and I still remember. I don't remember the year. I think it was in the mid 2000s, and it was at iHerb. And I remember going in and seeing my first Perfect Pick installed, and just how futuristic it was and how cool it was. I was working at UPS Supply Chain Solutions at the time, and it was a struggle to get racking approved through some of the approval arms at UPS. But I had dreams of, there were operations that absolutely, that technology made perfect sense. And iHerb had put it in. They were probably one of your all's first adopters of the Perfect Pick, I'm guessing. And
They were.
I remember seeing it there, and I remember seeing it at ProMat when it very first came out at ProMat at the trade shows. And just thinking of like how ahead of the times it appeared to be, one of the first goods to person systems that I saw that was in that type of package technology. I'd seen shuttles, I'd seen some, mini load and pallet ASRS systems, but I hadn't seen something that presented the goods to the person. Now, you know, it's a whole new industry, or well, not industry. It's a whole new no concept of anybody getting into it today. I remember when it didn't exist. It was a whole new section of the industry. So
Exactly. And
yeah.
that, so you guys both talked about being in Kentucky. I'm in Kentucky as well, Northern Kentucky.
Yep.
And iHerb was right here. It's been decommissioned because of their main customers happen to be at war with each other, sadly. So
Right.
anyway,
Right.
that all dried up very quickly. So anyway, for that going on, because we shipped a lot to Asia from here. I say we, but iHerb. And
Right.
it's in Northern Kentucky. It's I could probably just look. If I was probably 30 feet tall, I could probably see the building. So maybe that's why they hired me, Jimmy, because they thought I could be the tour guide, and they didn't have to fly somebody in from headquarters in Philadelphia area, South Jersey,
Right.
Because I was located right here. Literally, I could ride my bike over there in about 15, 20 minutes. Yeah, but that was a cool site, and you would actually give a tour of it, and people would stop and like take a selfie in front of it because there were 10 aisles all lined up, 150 iBots, 15 per. And it was a neat system, a lot of conveyance that went around it by others, but mainly just to see all those machineries right there. It's a cool system. Yeah. And it's a blast to work with. And since then, the Infinity has grown. I might be getting a little bit ahead, but technology wise, we rolled into the from the aisle based Perfect Pick into the Infinity, which is more grid based. So both those options are still available, and we thought Infinity is going to put Perfect Pick out of business. Nope, still a lot of need for Perfect Pick, single density, and the HD is double deep on the totes. Infinity is the triple deep.
Gotcha. Christian, when do you remember the first time when did you first come across OPEX?
I had the same experience as you. So this was before all the new goods diversion systems came out, but it was actually iHerb as well, out in, not the one in Covington, but the one out in California. So you got a site out there with them as well. That was the first one I saw, and it really opened my eyes. Like, wow. So it was definitely something I hadn't seen before, and definitely made me excited.
Yeah.
Yeah. The cool thing, Christian, when we went out there, everybody learned a lot on the first one here. Even though it's aisle based, we then learned that you could pair aisles together. So even if you had a modest system that's just 2 to 4 aisles, you don't have to go to the Infinity grid system. You can just have like the project we did with you guys, where the aisles are paired, a left hand and a right hand next to each other. So we learned that from the first iHerb to the second iHerb by just showing, just by bringing that advancement there out to the layout. It really is the same machine, but it's just a different layout. And that's the cool thing about our industry. You learn something each time. It's like, let somebody new come in and say, what if you did this? Or why are you doing it that way? It's like, good question. So yeah, we live and we learn and we move on.
Yeah. And I think just the look of it, the aesthetics of it, the how the systems work. I mean, it's just top notch. You can't look at one and there's certain products in the industry that you look at and say, ugh, I don't know how sturdy that is. I don't know how well made that is. I don't know how the hardware is. And I think you all have done an excellent job of, one, you market the product well and you show well. And then just the product is high quality. It's good product. Where is the manufacturing mainly? I mean, you all are there, New Jersey. Is that right? The kind of the headquarters, and just maybe give the audience a little bit about that. We're right in the middle of some of, with the global tariffs and all the talk that's going on. Maybe that's something the audience would be interested in.
No doubt. So we certainly are a made in the USA company. Most of our products are made in Moorestown, New Jersey, South Jersey, about 20 minutes east of Philly. We have 5 or 6 buildings there. Also Plano, Texas, kind of like another sub headquarters, and we're international. So we have about a million square foot under roof. We're not like 2 guys in a garage. So we're decently big, about 1,600 employees. And so we do manufacture. In fact, I just gave a tour yesterday. I was up there Tuesday, and it's cool, guys. And if you guys have been there, our people just are pretty jazzed about showing it off. So the customer went through it afterwards. They said, man, this is just such a cool experience, because we're all We're all net zero on the grid, solar panels everywhere on the roofs, canopies over the parking spots, recycle water. We try to be good coexisters with the land, right? Stewards. But just to have it all made in the USA there, we try to be very. We want to do it all ourselves if we can. So we design it ourselves, we manufacture it ourselves, we install it ourselves, we service it ourselves. Sure, there's parts that we buy out, but for the most part, we do it. And so all the steel making and breaking and punching systems are there in South Jersey. And to see all that is just cool. And I get jazzed every time I go through there. You know, kid at Christmas time, and the folks that we were showing off we're pretty excited about it as well. So when we can show that off, you guys are all welcome at any time. Love to have you. Love to show off the campus. Meet some of our engineers and the people who come out of the little work areas and come and chat with you. Whether it's the guy who does the painting or the guy who does the welding, they pop out and they say what they do and this and that. And yeah, it's just a cool experience. And you can see how the product is made, and I appreciate your compliment, Jimmy, because it is well made, it is robust, and you can see all that goes into it there from the manufacturing facility.
Gotcha. Well, let's get into the Sure Sort and Perfect Pick and Infinity. Those are three of your all's products that I think the audience would be interested in. And Joe, I'm going to just I'm going to attempt, I know there's varieties of this, but I'm going to attempt to bring it up on the website as you're talking about it. And just, we always try to take most of our audience is very aware of it, but just, we try to give them the ESPN type highlights, right? Where would they look to use this technology? What's maybe some of the stats or some of the qualifiers for using the technology, and just, we're not selling, we're just educating. And so you tell me which product you want to start with, and I'm going to try to bring it up, and I'll let the video play and scroll through, and then you just go. And then Christian, you can jump in and compliment, man, is like, how do you look at it through your lens of once Joe shared, like when you're evaluating raw data and say, okay, this is these are attributes or these are qualifiers that say, let's investigate this product. Let's investigate Sure Sort. Let's investigate, well, we know Sure Sort may not be the best fit. Like you said, if it's surfboards, probably not the best fit. If it's real round objects, may not be the best fit for certain portions. But let's just go through it. You all do it, and I'm gonna be attempting on the side to do the IT work.
Grab the Infinity or the Perfect Pick if you can, if you want to start. And normally we try to. I was giving a training class the other day, and I didn't know. You know, you ought to know your audience. Shame on me, but it was kind of a lower level 101 class, and I started with sortation. I really should have started with goods to person, because that's where you're going to store your product. And once you have removed the product, whether you fulfill the a discrete order or a batch pick type of thing, then you would sort it. So I kind of started with sortation, didn't realize the audience was pretty much warehouse 101. They were OPEX 101, but I learned. See, I can be an old guy and still learn how to do it a better way. So happy to learn another way. So here you're seeing the Perfect Pick, and that's a 4-ounce system. That's a great one, Jimmy, because that one violates every rule of how you would store product. Most people would not put mixed SKUs in one bin. I think it's a brilliant idea, but most don't do it because they want to maximize the cube of our tote. Our tote's 30 inches by 20 inches, one of the biggest in the industry, usually by 20 to 40%. And in this little video, you can see in the background is all the totes that are stored in the system. This is a single deep system, but you could have picture two totes on the left, 2 totes on the right of the iBot Raceway. So, and here they put their product in the tote, and they put as many things as they can in there. They've already scanned it in. So when they need that red shirt, they know that it's in tote 139. We know it's in 139. We will bring that tote out to them with whichever iBot is handiest, and they'll have it there within 20 seconds to a minute. So if it's a hot pick, you're going to get it very quickly.
That's a good view of the system right there, where you can explain to people what you meant by the owl based of the perfect pick, right?
Correct, correct. And where they had the BHFO banner in the center, that's just there might be columns there. So you're seeing two
Right,
aisles to the left of the banner and two aisles to the
right,
right. So it's a
right.
4 aisle system. You could have two people operating all of those, and there's probably 10,000 totes there. You can have two people have access to all those totes during slower picking times of the day. And as you get busier, I can add two more people. So Jimmy and Christian are on the first two aisles, and Joe and Cindy Lou are on the next two aisles. You get starts to slow down. Two of us can go away. The others can work back and forth. And then you can even add those pick stations at the other end of the system. So you can double the amount of picking that comes from those aisles. Each aisle can do up to 500 picks an hour. We say that's the machine speed, but really nobody can pick that fast. So the real answer is somewhere in that 400 range is probably fair. You asked a question, Jimmy, when do we not fit? Yeah, that's a pretty cool look at the density, all those totes that are just full, that's just filled. And you need that tote. A bot number 259 right there will go get it and bring it to you in quick order. Comes down, hits the charge rail. So there's no batteries. It's all ultra capacitor powered. So once that iBot hits the bottom charge rail, it'll go from 60% charged to 95% charged in about 10 or 20 seconds. It doesn't take long to zip up. That might be a little bit of a Hollywood spin, but it's more seconds than it is, certainly not hours and not minutes. And the iBot rarely stops for a drink of electricity. It just keeps going. Hits the rail quite often. And if it goes below its threshold, it'll just go down and touch the bottom rails for, again, 20 seconds or a minute and get recharged again.
Got it.
Yeah, so
that's a good view. Oh, go ahead, please.
Yeah, let's say in the solutions world, when would you? Well, this I'm going to answer this, but when would you kind of start looking at a perfect pick? So obviously, I mean, there's really two things that you look at the beginning, right? It's throughput. So how much throughput do you have, and how much storage do you need? So what drives storage? It's typically SKUs. There's other things, obviously, like the product size and product mixes and things like that. But for assumptions, let's assume like it fits, right? So, today there's a lot of those grid-based goods to person systems out there, right? So now that those are kind of in the industry, where we see perfect pick fitting more often than not is high throughput, so really high throughput requirements, and maybe a little bit on the lower side of the amount of SKUs. So you still need a decent amount of SKUs, but if you say you've got a system that needs 100,000 or a system that has 100,000 SKUs, well, you're most likely not going to fit 100,000 SKUs in a single aisle of perfect pick. You'll more than likely have to spread those SKUs out across multiple aisles. And what happens there is now as your order tote flows through the system, you're going to have to hit multiple aisles to fulfill that order. And that's kind of where the Infinity system comes into play. Now, in that system, you don't have to go from aisle to aisle to get every SKU you need. Any SKU can come to any pick station, fulfill any order at any time. So that's kind of where I see perfect pick is really high throughput and maybe a little bit on the smaller side of SKUs. Now, I'm not talking about like 100 SKUs. You still need there's still a ratio there that you have to have for volume to storage, but that's really where when I look at data analysis and look at what might work, perfect pick really comes up when you have that higher throughput requirement.
Yeah, it is very fast, and I think you're touching on some cool things. Number one is data analytics, because that's going to tell you exactly, if I had a 10 aisle iHerb system and I had to pass from aisle 1 to 3 to 7 and 10, depends on how many lines there are per order, and the data analytics will help you with that. But I also look at the like the zone routing, and I kind of think of it as 3 zones. A lot of people talk about A, B, C, or D movers. Let's just pretend high, medium, and low movers. Your highest mover might do well with an A-frame or carton flow, or some of those could be mirrored SKUs in the aisle, in a perfect pick aisle. But certainly we do the heavy lifting, almost the bell curve of products that could be in the perfect pick. The front tail, the fastest ones, it's kind of like the Coke machine. I'm always ordering. Everybody in line is going to get a Diet Coke, and everybody's got to put in their money and press the button and get a Diet Coke. No, you put a cooler of them sitting right there because everybody's going to buy one. It was after 5 o'clock. I'd use a different example than Cokes, just by the way. But at least for this case, if on the bell curve, the other tail is the slow stuff that you keep in stock. It's a SKU, but you only sell a few a year or whatever. So do you want your more expensive storage solution, perfect picks, goods to person, storing those things that sell rarely, but you still keep them in stock? So again, that bell curve of and you could move stuff in and out of these. That it's easy. Where this gal is right here, she could change out. There could be a promotion going on. All 6 of those SKUs that you see in that tote, she could change those out because we got a promotion going on, or it's their spring outfits. We're going to get rid of those for the season, whatever, and then put something else in there. So again, even though you got that bell curve, the fastest stuff, typically you don't see inside a goods to person. You can, it's not against the law, but I'm not probably going to put the fastest ones there. That's my cooler of Cokes. I'm just going to want to grab one every time. And then the super slows, I'm not going to put in there either. You touched on Infinity, Christian, and that's where, so the same 4-aisle system you're looking there at BHFO, picture an iBot that can crawl underneath the rack. That's what Infinity does. It can go from aisle 1, slide over to aisle 4, get a tote, and come back to aisle 1. That's what the grid-based system offers. And it's cool for us that we have both options. You don't have to have that massive system, but at least you could have the ability to have one or the other. And it's scalable. So you can start small and add on to the grid. I can add horsepower by adding more iBots. I can turn a manual picking station into an automated picking station. So there's a lot of flexibility that we can offer. Yeah, this is showing the making of it up in New Jersey.
Yeah, I was going to say on that, the ability to expand is very important to a lot of customers, right? Because they're making a big investment. So as they grow, maybe they don't want to plan for the growth 5 or 10 years out. Maybe they want to plan for what they have today and that ability to grow. So a lot of these systems that are coming into the industry today, including Perfect Pick and OPEX, is, you don't always have to add both volume and storage at the same time. Like you mentioned, if you need additional throughput, maybe you're just adding some additional iBots into an aisle. If you need additional, storage space, maybe you have some new SKUs coming into the building, you just add on, add some more expansion models on the back of the Perfect Pick. So same way with the Infinity, you can add storage as well as throughput independently.
One thing that Jordan and I were talking about at ProMat, he was asking, like, how did he put it? What keeps people from, pulling the trigger for a goods to person system? And my response, just kind of off the cuff was, back to data analytics. Your data is going to tell you, probably what you need, but you can also get, paralyzed by all that analysis, right? It's like, so my answer was, you got to do something. You got to start. If the 3 of us start a business and it's in our garage, I don't need a perfect pick on day 1. But once I start realizing that, okay, Christian's garage, he's got a nice 4-bay garage, with all his classic collector cars. All right, Christian, get those things out of there. We need more for our business. Well, once you change that and it gets bigger and bigger and bigger, you're going to need some kind of automation help. And so people will often wait, and this allows you to start in modestly. You can have 1 pick station. Here you're showing Infinity in the bottom right-hand corner, Jimmy, of your image here. There's 6 or 8 of those ports, and I can have double that on the backside as well. Yeah, all those guys where the bots will come out. we could start with one or two and a third of that grid system, or it can be shorter in height. It can be not the length that you're showing. It could be, we have one aisle like that and continually add on. So that's my encouragement. Start somewhere, start small. And if you can scale up and not have to tear that out and put in the next level technology, then that's how I would begin that automation process.
Gotcha. Well, I switched over to the Infinity, but Joe, when you look at the two different ones, how would you coach a potential customer or client through, or an integrator, right? You've told us before, it's like when I'm going out, like Christian said, hey, when I'm looking Perfect Pick, it's probably a little less SKUs, maybe higher throughput. Where would you say is you're selling them every day, right? You've got two products. When do you pull the Infinity arrow out versus the Perfect Pick arrow out?
Yeah.
Or what have you all seen the industry respond to? And I think it could be less data driven and more, probably there's some price impacts. Obviously, there's probably a price difference. With a lot of these technologies, I think people get lost in the shininess of them and how good they look versus how many have been out there doing it, working every day, and you got a tried and true product. So some people are more conservative in their automation journey, in terms of, I want to know that it's going to work, because careers are on the line, people's livelihoods are on the line. But
no doubt,
I'll shut
no
up
doubt.
for rambling a little bit. But when you're coming in and educating, it's like, Jimmy's brand new, I know I need something, Joe.
Right.
How would you guide me between an Infinity and a Perfect Pick?
And I would start, again, Christian kind of hit it on the head there earlier, is, you're how many items per order. So a little bit is data driven. But if you walk into a warehouse today, like we said at the very beginning, every warehouse is different. You look around. If I see loads of SKUs and a high number of lines per order, you're going to think Infinity. You're going to think of a much larger system. I need more totes. Here we're showing several aisles of Infinity, but because it's grid based, every one of those, let's suppose there's 10,000 totes in one aisle, and I'm looking at 5 aisles or 4 aisles. But if I have 10 times 4, 40,000 totes in there, I could have 4 aisles, or I could have one grid. So if I have to do a lot of pick and pass between 4 aisles, I'm going to then start looking at Infinity. If it is a modest system and it's not 40,000, but if it's 8,000 totes I need, still a nice system, still very automated, I'm going to be looking at Perfect Pick. So it's kind of that number. Is there a real number? There's not. So everything I say is about, I'm going to try to withdraw it right after I say it, but I can't, because we're being recorded forever. But if you're in the modest of the 5 to 10,000, you're going to look at a smaller system. But if you think you're going to grow in the next 5 or 10 years to 25, 50,000, then you're probably going to look at Infinity, a grid-based system. And then, especially if you have multiple lines per order, where I don't want to do all that pick and pass. Pick and pass is not hard to do. People have been doing it forever. But
right,
if you don't have to do it, let the machine do it for you.
Yeah, and on that, we're really talking about discrete picking, right? So you do have that opportunity for batch picking. We haven't done a lot of batch picking systems out of goods to person, but if there is a case where you need a batch pick, that's where Perfect Pick would really excel. If you got high volume and you're going to batch pick and you're going to go down to a units order or something, Perfect Pick is a good opportunity for that. You see a lot of the industry will use shuttles and mini loads and those types of things and pick a full case, send it to units order and deplete that case, but then you've got residuals. So no one, it's always hard, what do we do with residuals? So Perfect Pick would be a good option if you're wanting to batch pick and not having those residuals.
Well, and if I can use that as a little bit of a segue from batch picking into sure sort,
Yep.
You're picking in bulk from Perfect Pick or Infinity or goods to person. And then if I'm not doing the discrete order, Christian, right there at that presentation station, which you can, then I'm going to send it over to sure sort. And in sure sort, then high speed, 3-dimensional wall sorter, if you will. It's the same iBot. It's on a cross belt. So product comes in at a very high speed. the iBot receives your product and can sort to, up to 600 destinations or more. It depends on how many you might need. So whether you're sorting, again, back to your point, bulk, picking in bulk, we're finding customers that are they are achieving greater efficiencies with SureSort because they can pick larger batches. It's a better system upstream. We don't even realize what that ROI is, but they get the benefit of that to the tune of 10 to 20 to 25% more efficient upstream if they batch pick. And here, what Jimmy's showing is as the product is put into the front end right there, it can be by an arm or a humanoid. Typically it's humans because our God-given hands are very quick and quicker than an arm at this, at this time of stage of automation that we're in. And the products are put on there one at a time, almost like dealing cards. And then they will be sorted to the wall. That's the 100 side there. The other side is the 200 side. So there can be hundreds of destination bins that are set up for you, whether it's going to be to your brick and mortar store or to an e-com individual order.
And I pulled up the cool one, the extract, to where this one could ultimately, you could put a product into the system. It's going to sort at a very high throughput and rate. Like the rate of this one's pretty phenomenal. I think it's probably faster than a human can feed it in most circumstances.
On that, I think the induction rate is what, Joe? Is it 2,400 items an hour? I think that's
for the SureSort, even surging up to 3,000 an hour.
Yeah.
Not sustainable, but you can surge up to 3,000 as you really get into a good flow. But this is the extract, so it's a little bit slower. It's a larger machine, but what our smart guys figured out was I could put another different type of iBot in there that you'll never really see. And when an order is complete, the second iBot inside, the extract iBot, will go grab that tote that's completed order and bring it to this RVT module right here, the transfer, and it'll drop it directly into your sorter, your shipper. So that's a cool hands-off way. That's how we eliminated another the human that has to manually remove the totes from the wall. Now the bot will take it directly to the end of aisle and drop it into your shipper.
Yeah, traditionally the SureSort acted similar as like a put wall, right? So you have lights on each one of these locations, and as that order is complete, it would light up. And traditionally you would have maybe a packer on the backside, pack station where you're packing the boxes. And now with this new system that you have, the extract, you can get fully automated to where you're feeding in these empty corrugate. You're dumping right into that outbound ship container, and you can go down, get automatically taped, automatically labeled, and go out the door without any type of packing process. So one thing
exactly.
So one thing in the solutions world, in your original SureSort system, there's, I think the big thing was item restrictions, right? The size of items. And I think as you guys have grown, you guys have increased the size of items that you can sort now.
Correct. Yeah, we started with on the mail matrix side, we started with just a 2.5 inch like envelopes and letters. And when SureSort was born, it was a 4-inch depth. Then we grew that to a 6-inch depth, and now with SureSort X, this one here, it's an 8-inch depth. So we continue to grow. Will it go or 10 to 12? I don't know. I always say wait till next ProMat or next Modex, because our engineers are always working on new products. So we're always developing something new. But yeah, this guy is an 8-inch product. And again, is that everything? Nope, it's not everything. But if a lot of your orders, pretend 80% of your orders are SureSortable, then that's awesome. Then I can send all those to the SureSort for automatic high-speed packing. And the occasion when you do need that surfboard, I can go to a consolidation area. I can still SureSort everything that goes with it, but I might flag it instead of lighting up a green light, make it flashing green. That means more attention is needed or another product is needed. Or you don't send it to SureSort at all. But most folks usually send it if all of them, or even if one is missing, and they can go to consolidation area to get the final oversized piece.
And for the audience listening, we've been playing videos of this. We're referencing them. So some of you all just listen, but if you want to get on, we've got where the video's playing, you can actually see these products in action. And well, guys, I told you this was going to be fast, Joe. I told you we'd look up, and we're 40 minutes in, and we've just been nerding out and talking a little bit, but we've introduced, and I'm going to guide us towards wrapping it up, but we've introduced the Perfect Pick, the Infinity, and the Sure Sort, and there's several different varieties of models in between. What else, if you know I'm that uneducated, or I'm that new director of operations, and I'm looking at stepping into this type of automation, what else would you share? Is there anything else you'd like to share with the group? I feel like we've gone through some things, but
No
what
doubt.
else?
No doubt. And what I would recommend is we have these in focus meetings every couple of months. So look for those out there, either through your partner or on our LinkedIn website. So we're going to showcase all of our products. And we always invite you to come to Moorestown, New Jersey to see it. You're going to see these in action. You're going to meet the people, find out, who OPEX is. So I would say get educated. Check with us, check with Zion, check with your partners, and come visit us. Or if you can't make that trip, let us do a specific in focus video presentation that we record, and it might be me sitting here in my old Kentucky home right here doing the voiceover as we're showing it, like you are, Jimmy. So we can have these, and so learn about it. We'll find out if it's a fit, and we'll go from there.
Awesome. And we'll make sure we get that in the show notes, how you all can access any material like that, and certainly share, ways to get in and find out more about any of the OPEX products. And well, I feel like we could probably go another 45 minutes and just go into a deep dive. We all got a little bit of engineering in our blood. We could go into, how else we could model these and spar back and forth. But Christian, any closing on solutions? I mean, you see this all day. You get it from the point of a customer has a problem. They may have an idea of what direction they're going, or they may not have any idea, but you really do the data analytics, your team, and then you're coming up with what potential opportunities solve problems. So any closing comments on?
The only thing I have
is,
so the only comment I have is, if you're interested in automation and you want to learn more about it, maybe you have some data to share, we're here to do that search for you. If there's specific technologies that you're interested in, if you're interested in Perfect Pick or Sure Sort, come talk to us, share your data, and we'll help you figure out what might fit for you. So that kind of sounds like a sales pitch, but it's really we're here to help you, and you don't have to struggle. There's integrators, there's partners like OPEX that we're here to help and try to make your life easier.
Right. And this is certainly, I would tell the listeners, this is not everyone's going to be on their transformation or their automation journey where they can utilize technology like this. This is what I would consider probably mid to upper stream of that automation journey. And but then I also would tell you, don't be intimidated by it. This product, this technology's been in the marketplace for 15, 20 plus years, right? This is tried and true technology. The company's been around for 50 years. And I think one of the things when I look across the competitors landscape, and we've got several partners, we love all of our partners equally. It's one of the benefits of being an integrator is we don't only wake up every day and try to sell the OPEX Perfect Pick. We guide intelligent change for our customers. And if Perfect Pick's the right fit, that's one of the presentations that we make. But I think one of the things that gets overlooked is you all have got a fabulous software, really a tried and true. The bugs are out. Let's put it that way. There's no system that comes to life. It doesn't need a little bit of tweaking. But some in the industry have been through that long enough. It's just part of what we go through. You all have got a great, a very robust technician service and maintenance system. There's some intangibles. So you can't just look at a product and say, okay, that's it. That's what works. There's so many other items and attributes that you have to look in the system. And a lot of times these aren't standalone, Joe. So that's where we like to educate ourselves to help our customers to where there's conveyor that feeds this. This is just a picking engine or could be a portion of a operational need, but there's a whole lot of ancillary processes and thoughts and additional equipment and material handling equipment that could potentially complement this. And that's what we love to do. We love solving big unsolvable problems and coming together with great partners like you all. So I think we just kind of opened the door and given a little sneak peek into what OPEX is. But if you're still with us, still listening, the Perfect Pick, the Infinity, and then the Sure Sort are 3 products that Zion knows a whole lot about. And we've got a wonderful partner in Joe, and we'd love to educate you more if you're looking to you're starting your journey or you're further along with it. We'd be glad to help you with it. So, Joe, we always do a potential fun question at the end. I'm going to throw one at you, and then we're going to wrap it up.
I'm ready.
So your dream job growing up, and what would have been your dream job growing up, and how did that affect your passions and the job that you're currently doing?
Oh man. Well, I'll start well, first of all, thanks to Zion and you guys for having me. This is a blast. I can't believe it's been 40 some minutes. It just seems
It's
like
crazy.
whatever.
Time just flies.
So I'll start with a regret. My dad had a McGinnis and Associates electrical representative, sold conduit wiring and things like that. And he kind of led me into electrical engineering, kind of wanted me to come in, and then it would still be alive today. And I didn't do it. I kind of wanted to be my own guy, right? So I do have that baby regret, but because I did go into electrical engineering, always been a math head, right? So this stuff is kind of like, it's pretty easy for us in a sense. And that's why call Zion if you're confused. You might not get it. We kind of do because we've been through it. So my dream job has always been A, working with people, enjoy it. And then B, I've always been kind of a numbers guy. So this stuff kind of all makes sense to me in some cloudy way. It all you can kind of figure out which way you're going to steer somebody, or at least offer suggestions and empathize with their challenges that they're experiencing, what pain points they're experiencing. So being that geeky kind of engineering kind of warehouse guy was always a good fit. That I think I'd be working for OPEX someday. Didn't even know who they were when I was in 8th grade or senior in high school or senior in college. But this kind of is the dream job. MLB pitcher, nah, I don't think so. Rocket ship fireman, nah, I don't think so. So this has always been it. I miss my dad. As far as working with him, that was kind of that little baby regret, and even that would have been similar. So this has been a blast. I just really enjoy what you guys do and appreciate you guys partnering with us at OPEX, and love what OPEX does.
Well, Joe, thank you again. We're grateful that you spent some time with us. And audience, if you're out there, thanks for spending a little time with us. Look in the show notes. You can find anything you need about Zion or OPEX. And we're educators. We'd love to educate you some more if you're interested in this stuff. And if you're not, that's okay too. Join us for another episode and we'll get you interested in something else. So thank you. Thank you. And we'll see you next time around. We want to thank you all for listening to another episode of the Zion Experience. Please make sure you subscribe to our show on YouTube, Spotify, or Apple Podcast. If you have any ideas or topics you'd love to hear about, or maybe for a future episode, please let us know. Send us something in the comments. We appreciate you all, and we'll see you here next time.